play big. I like them big.
They're enormous.
Really?
Very, very, very big.
Hello, lovelies. Today we're going to be taking a look at Asteroid Dice, which is not a role-playing game. It is a dice game. Now, I didn't buy this for the game. I bought it for the dice because I'm a sucker for a big die. But there is a separate game that you can play with these dice as well. So what you get in the main box is a rules doofer, a set of cards for each player, 5 players, and a full set of normal polyhedral dice. No Zocchi dice here. You don't actually use the D110s or the D4, but they had the good sense and foresight to add those into the pot. You only use these 5 dice, so you're limited really to between 2 and 5 players, and strictly speaking the minimum is 3 players. Now, I bought it for the big dice. I am actually a little bit disappointed in the size of these. They looked bigger on the Kickstarter, but they are nice, sizable, squishy, safe dice nonetheless. So nice and visible for open rolls, or if you're playing online and you have a die cam, then something like this would be useful for that. You'd still obviously need a dice tray. So yeah, you have a bunch of squishy dice. Now, the idea of the game, if you're playing it as the game and not just as having the dice, is that you have your 5 players, 1 for each kind of dice that you use, and each of those players has a stack of cards. The indigo and violet ones are a bit hard to tell apart. Maybe that's also why they didn't go for yellow. It just seems a weird choice to me not to have blue instead of purple, to keep them more visually distinct when you don't have the full spectrum of 7 colours. So why choose those 2 to go together? They're easier to tell apart on the camera than they are in real life, which is a little bit peculiar, but there you go. So each player has a set of cards. Each turn the players choose one of the cards from their number. So let's just cut and flip over. Right. And each card corresponds to a dice. Right. The one with all of them on means you can't decide. There are other special cards as well. One like a black hole, and in one of the expansion sets there's the fireball dice as well. So there are additional options. If you happen to have chosen the same dice, then you're supposed to kind of duel off against each other by throwing a dice at the other player, and whoever hits the other player first gets their choice first. So then once you're actually past all of that, selecting your card, resolving any of the special cards, if anyone's got matched cards, all of that, then you pick up your dice. So starting with whoever won the brawl and the unmatched dice card holders. So in my example here, nobody particularly matched. So the D20 dice goes there, D6 dice goes there, D12 dice goes there, D8 dice goes there, and all that really leaves for the person with the special card is the D10. Oops. Right, then you roll your dice in order, starting with the dice that has the most sides. So whoever had the D20 dice rolls theirs in the middle of the table. Right, they got an 18, which is a very high score. Then whoever got next highest, so for D12, they can roll, but they can aim and try to knock the other person's dice. Bonk. Okay, failed to reduce their score, but got a 5. Next one down. Bonk. Failed again. Next dice down. Bonk. Failed again. You're supposed to leave them where they lie, but, you know, obviously I'm on camera, so you need to be able to see. So, that gets you to the end. And the winner is the person who rolled the highest number at the end of the round. So whoever it was that had the D8 ended up scoring the highest. Right? And they take all the cards that were laid out in play as scorecards. And the score is the number in the bottom. And you carry on doing that down your rounds until everyone is done. And then whoever's got the highest score wins. So, you know, it's kind of... It's a simple enough, easy game that you could almost play with any set of dice that you happen to own. You could even expand the number of players by creating extra cards and using the Zocchi dice or expanding to the D4 and the D100. You know, so there are options if you wanted to expand things out. But for the official game, obviously, you need the squishy dice and the cards and everything else. So, and if there's a tiebreaker, you have a duel with dice and throw them at each other, and whoever wins, wins. So in theory, this is all well and good. This is, you know, fine and dandy and shiny and sweet and any other appellations you want to add to it. In practice, however, I think the throwing the dice at each other seems to me not to be the best option. I mean, it's all fun and games until your hurled D20 hits someone's irreplaceable custom Gundam kit off the shelf and smashes it, and then things turn into a rather less squishy brawl, I would think, rather quickly. So, I mean, there's alternatives you could do, like if two people choose the same dice, they could each roll it, and whoever scores highest, you know, they're the ones that win. On a tiebreaker, you could do the same thing. Not everyone has the agility or safety or the right kind of room where you can hurl dice at each other, because even as big as they are, and they could be a lot bigger, yeah, they could roll under things, get lost, the cat could run off with them, whatever. So I'm not sold on the bunging them at each other side of the game, but otherwise it sounds fairly fun as a little side game, possibly a little too complicated to play when drunk, but you never know. Because I backed the Kickstarter, because it's Camden Games, you know, just up the road in London, I did get a few extras. A patch, 2 flippy things for some reason, a nice pin badge with the flaming dice on it, and a little thank you card, which I'm not going to get out because it'll get stuck to the lip. So that was nice. Whether you can get those separately at their website, I don't know. I should have checked. I didn't have that amount of foresight. Because I backed, I also got some extras. So this is the Fireball expansion. It gives you an extra card to add into your decks. So you can choose the Fireball instead. And if you choose the Fireball card, you pick up all of these and you bung them at the existing asteroids, and you score the highest point off any of these, but it gives you a chance to cause utter and abject chaos on the table. They also sell a few sets of different types, so I've got a nice silvery set here, and a nice gold set here. So I'm sure they will do others as well. So then, what do we think of Asteroid Dice? Well, like I say, I bought it for the dice. I was a little bit disappointed that they weren't bigger than they are. I've got a hard dice here, which is actually slightly bigger. You know, when you're going for foam, when you're going for squishy, yeah, it could have gone bigger, and I think that the feel for the game would have been better if these were more like adult fist sized, and I could have sworn they were bigger on the production stills and things. Maybe they just got Deadpool after his arm got cut off to hold the dice to create a poor comparison. I don't know. I have another set of squishy dice somewhere which are like dog chew toys, which are slightly bigger again. So, you know, while I like them, while they're big, while they're nice and visible, while they're squishy and safe, which probably gives the game science guys conniptions, I think they could have been twice as big, and I would have enjoyed them a lot more. They also came with some dice bags, which I have temporarily misplaced. But yeah, Camden Games Asteroid Dice, I think most people probably just buy them to have a big squishy dice set. Game itself, reasonably simple, slightly too complex to play when absolutely plastered, and I'm not sold on bunging them at each other. So then, what do we think? Well, in terms of style, it's a very nice box. The production value is good. The dice look nice. They show up well on camera. They show up well in person. They're good dice to use for open rolling where nobody can dispute. And let's face it, most people are going to be buying these for the dice. So they're not as big as I wanted them to be. That's the sole flaw in them, I think. So 4 out of 5 for style. In terms of substance, I mean, it's a dice game. They're dice. There's not a lot of rules density here to be talking about. So I'm just going to match scores with the style score and say 4. So that is 8 out of 10, 4 out of 5. If you want a set of big, safe, squishy dice to play with, if you play online on camera and you have a dice cam, very good for that. If you play in person with a lot of people around a big table and you prefer to roll open, big dice are obviously better, and these are a cheaper and more effective option than buying, you know, colossal hard dice from people online, which can rush you, 20 quid for a single die of reasonable size, a dice of unusual size. So it's a niche product. I like big dice. They're not big enough to satisfy me. I like them big. So there you go. But I'm glad to back something from someone British just up the road in Camden. Zang.
Please mind the gap between the train and the platform.
Neverwhere is a book by Neil Gaiman and a TV series from 1996, which has also been produced as a radio play and as a graphic novel. I secured permission in 1997 from Crucial Films and Neil Gaiman's agent to produce a semi-official Neverwhere role-playing game, provided that it not be done for profit. With the Neverwhere RPG, you can follow in the footsteps of the Lady Door and Richard Mayhew Dick in exploring London's mysterious underside, the Twilight world just out of sight of normal people. Beware of Knight's Bridge, avoid the Seven Sisters, be cautious of Turnham Green, and walk the byways of the floating market. Neverwhere uses the description system, a bridge between descriptive prose and dice mechanics, to let you really bring your words to life. Available for free at drivethrurpg.com.
The gallows is cold and the gibbet is lonely. We'll make things hard for you here. The gallows is cold and the gibbet is lonely. We'll make things hard for you, Joni, my dear.